Hey there guys, I'm Hello Japan, and welcome to the third video in my E3 2014 press conference overviews and I guess just reviews. So next up, we will be taking a look at Ubisoft. I actually just got off of watching the Sony's press conference, and I can't wait to get to that one because that one was good. Very, very, very good. Big, huge announcements, but a little bit slow. But we'll get to that then. But as for Ubisoft, they were a little bit better than EA. Not as much stuff shown, but they did have some pretty big games that they did show off, and they left one very special little gift for the very end. But I'll mention that when we get to that point. So they began the show off with, of course, their beloved Far Cry. Now, as many of you may know, Far Cry has really gotten very popular over the past few years. Far Cry 1 was actually a very good game and quite well received until you basically got to the second half of the game, at which point people just kind of said, it got weird, and I didn't really care for it much. Far Cry 2, I heard, was good, and a lot of people enjoyed it, but it was just not too terribly fun in certain elements of it. I heard the whole malaria thing had a lot, of negative side effects, and there was a lot of things that you just basically just didn't enjoy in the game. And that's, like I said, from people talking about it. I never played Far Cry 1 or 2, so I really don't know. But Far Cry 3 is where the game really, really caught its stride and is becoming a very stable and interesting franchise. And then, of course, we had Blood Dragon, which was just fucking bonkers and possibly the greatest DLC ever made. But now they've had Far Cry 4. Now, Far Cry 4 is set in the Himalayan mountains, where you are playing as a character named AJ. At least that's what I believe his name is. I had to really do some digging, and when I was watching the... was it the Sony, or was it actually No, it was the Sony press conference when I actually heard his name being said. I heard someone say AJ, so I assumed the main character's name is AJ. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. But the Ubisoft press conference, the villain, they had him talking, and they had him interacting with the main character. He is fucking nuts. I thought Voss was a crazy, main antagonist or like poster child for craziness for the series. This guy is like insane. He's just really weird. To give you an idea, I decided not to include trailers because I was reading online that even though you're allowed to use trailers, if you're a small channel like me, a lot of them tend to get marked and then flagged, and that. So I didn't want to deal with that. I just stuck with still images. Hopefully that's okay. It's more so my commentary that I really wanted to get across anyway. No, but in this trailer that they showed, it had you. I missed the very beginning of it, by the way, just like the very first 5 minutes. But it basically had you being attacked by these people, and then the boss guy came up, killed someone next to you with a pen or some kind of knife or something, just stabbed in the neck and told you to hold it. And while he was having a big conversation with you, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna have so much fun together." Yada yada yada. He's basically talking it up as if it's gonna be fun to really fuck with you, and he's gonna enjoy it and have such a good time. And I was really surprised. I was like, this guy is insane. But then again, the announcement artwork really had a lot of people talking, so I'm not surprised that he was actually a crazy person. But yeah, it was the first 5 minutes of gameplay, that little trailer that they had at the very beginning of the press event. Just the first 5 minutes of gameplay, and I was like, oh god, this is 0 to 60. This is the coolest stuff I've ever seen. And I thought, the beginning of Far Cry 3 was really intense. You're having a good old time with your rich white friends, and all of a sudden you're being held hostage by terrorists. And this one, it looked like you're flying around in a helicopter and got shot down or something. Like I said, I missed the very beginning of it, so I don't remember what it was, or I don't know what it was. And then all of a sudden, people are dying, being stabbed in the neck around you, and then you're the last one there, saying that the guy that's killing everyone is going to have a good time with you. So Yeah, pretty crazy. And as always, the graphics are insane. I mean, I don't know how they could just keep getting better and better and more realistic and more, at a point now where it's not going to hit a realism cap. I don't believe it'll hit a realism cap. It'll just keep the quality of the resolution. That's the word I'm looking for. The resolution of these images will just keep getting higher and higher, of course. But it's the fact that the physics and the way the world interacts and everything's going around you, it's just getting to the point where it's like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing to look at. And what's even better than that is the game is coming out November 8th. Now, I don't know if I mentioned that in the Microsoft press conference, but it is coming out November 8th. I'm very, very excited, and I can't wait for this game. It really makes me want to go back and actually play or finish Far Cry 3. Because as you guys know, I did Far Cry Blood Dragon, but I started playing on my own, but I never finished Far Cry 3, and I really want to play it. And after that, they announced Just Dance 2015. So yeah, that is a thing. Moving on. And then after that, they showed The Division. They showed some gameplay and a little bit of a trailer. Now, I didn't actually know too much about the game itself, like the storyline, and they actually, I don't know if they've mentioned it, any of it up till this point, but apparently it was a virus that all of a sudden sprang up during Black Friday, and in the few days leading up till Christmas holiday time, it's just completely either wiped out or forced everyone out of New York City except for bad people that wanted to stay, and the people that are trying to keep the peace. And that's kind of who you are. You're one of those guys that are trying to keep the peace. And again, common trend with brand new graphics engines, brand new physics engines, and new hardware. The game looks amazing. Don't think it looks as good as Far Cry 4, but it still looks very, very nice. The Snowdrop, or whatever the engine was called, it looks very, very, very good. But it is still sad that I have to wait till 2015 until the game's released. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. I kind of said all I had to say during the Microsoft press conference. Yeah, and I just looking to see if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else I needed to mention. Yeah, no. So it's looking like a very good game. I'm actually going to be really excited to see what they have to offer. Later on, the trailer that they played for this game was very good. It was heart-wrenching. And if I can, I'll try and remember to put some trailers in the description below for you guys, just so you have some trailers to go check out. And after that, they showed off The Crew. Now, The Crew, I didn't really care for too much for driving games in general. But The Crew is interesting because basically what it does is it's taking the whole of the U.S., scaling it down, of course, and giving you the major highways to travel around in the United States. Now, they're not going to do like Google Street View, I'm assuming, so you can't like go drive up to your house and be like, hey, that's where my house would be. They're probably not doing that. But what they are doing is just offering you an immense amount of road to drive without any loading times, which is a crazy feat. I'm assuming they're going to do something similar to what GTA does, GTA 5 does, where it loads for a very long time before you get into the game, and then there's just no loading screens after that. They're probably going to do that because there's one mission that they mentioned with a couple of these other missions that I'm actually kind of excited about, where you sit down for 2 hours, drive from Miami all the way to Las Vegas, all the way to Los Angeles, while you're hitting like the Rocky Mountains, Mount Rushmore, Vegas, and then all the way up to Los Angeles. So I missions like that, I've always liked that kind of thing. And as far as I can tell, it is a racing game. You do race people and other crews and things. And that you probably play this game single player, because the way they were explaining it, they said, hey, if you're driving around by yourself and you don't have a crew, you can meet people. There's just people driving around you, and they're actual players. They're not NPCs or anything. They're actual players. And oh, sorry, my phone. They're actual players, and you can join them and have a race with them or whatever. So it is actually a pretty cool thing, and I'm very looking forward to that. But I believe it is... it's coming out November 11th, so that is something to look out for. Can't wait for that, guys. Okay, so next up after the crew, they showed off a little bit more of Assassin's Creed Unity. Another trailer, and they announced a couple things. They announced that the game would be coming out on October 28th, and I noticed a couple things that was interesting for the game. I kind of mentioned a minute ago, or a little while ago, in the Microsoft press conference that the parkour kind of looked the same. That it changes game to game and whatever, but this parkour was outstanding. They had the main character, don't know his name, I'm sorry. They had the main character jump out of a top window of a building, kind of do this weird swing motion and throw himself onto top of like a gargoyle-ish outcropping from a wall or from a side of a building. It wasn't a gargoyle, but it was just like a spire thing sticking out from the side of a building. And it's just the fluidity of the movements are getting better and better. And I just can't wait to actually play that and try the parkour for myself. And another thing is, at the end of this trailer, they had a scene where it had the main character standing, looking back at a guillotine, cutting someone's head off during an execution. And they had tons of bodies. And I kind of mentioned this before. There's just people all over. This game had so many people. But apparently, I read this somewhere in between making videos for the press conferences, that there was approximately 5,000 people, like 5,000 individual bodies in the crowd. Just, I don't know if they do like a stamp motion where like, this segment of people are here, this segment of people are here, and then, they're the same, but their motions are different, so they don't, copy each other, so they don't just look like replicated cells of people. But the interesting thing was, as soon as you actually went and executed the executioner, the people dispersed. And it was just so cool to see the whoosh, for lack of a good term, the whoosh of people just leaving and scattering. It was so cool to see that. And of course, that's where the trailer ended, because you gotta leave a little bit of secrecy. Yeah, a little bit of secrecy for the game. And I'm going to be very, very excited to actually pick the game up when it launches on October 28th. Like I said before, I probably won't play it until next year, but hey, it is what it is. And one thing they also did show through some gameplay, besides that, right before the actual execution thing, is that I don't know if they've changed the way missions are done, but the way this game at least showed some of the missions being handled is that they're, again, that whole word, dynamically given. Oh, it's awesome. So, for example, you're walking on the street as a main character. You see some guy getting beaten up by people, and you look at it and you observe it and you walk past, and he says, I don't have time to fight every faction in the city. And then also you see a lady getting her purse stolen, so you go running after that guy, and you're like, I'm gonna get her purse or whatever. And then out of the corner of your eye, you see inside a house, some guy just got murdered. You're like, oh, this is probably top priority out of someone getting beaten up or some lady's purse getting stolen. So you're like, hey, do you accept the mission? You say yes, and then that's when you proceed in finding the executioner and actually taking care of him. Or actually, no, going to someone else who tells you to go find someone else. So it's very, very interesting. And if they do the game that way, I hope they lead you in directions where to go. Don't just say, hey, go do missions, good luck. I hope they actually say, okay, here's, go find this person. He's in roughly this part of town, and go search, and he looks like this. If they do it that way, that would be really cool, and I'd really like to see a change of gameplay like that. But if they do the traditional mission system, like, oh, here's this quest, do this, then there's some other things around, and if they, instead of say, here's the other things, you have to go look for those other things, that would be cool too. I would like to see, a bit of change to the mission systems. And they were showing the game off on a Xbox One rather, at the Ubisoft press conference. And I kind of noted that it could look better on the PS4. Who knows? It's probably getting to the point now that you don't need the Kinect, where it frees up 10% of the processing power of the system, or 10% more processing power for the system. They could look virtually identical. But of course, the PC will look the best. And then after that, they did show off a game called Shape Up. I don't know. It was kind of interesting. It was another fitness game. I was like, oh, great. Here comes another fucking fitness game. That's the last thing we need. But, it looked cool. I was really surprised. You know, most of the time I'm like, oh god, it's another Zumba fitness, or it's another rare game for the Kinect, or another dance game. But it was actually kind of cool because basically what you can do is you can use the Kinect, and it gives you these quirky little dumb mini games. Like there was one that they showed off called like piano something, and you're kind of sitting there doing like a DDR dance while these tiles, or while these notes or what have you come up and cross the piano, and you have to jump with your whole body and hit those notes, just like kind of like DDR, and kind of like I guess DDR is probably the best example. But the cool thing about it is that it actually saves your previous high score, so you can try and beat your high score and look like a jackass while doing it at the same time. It's kind of dumb, but it is pretty funny and interesting at the same time. So I am kind of looking forward to that. Granted, like I said, I don't have an Xbox One, but it will be cool to see videos and see reviews on things like that. So that is something to consider picking up for yourself if you see the need to have that. And then another thing they showed was a game called Valiant Hearts. As far as I know, it's just kind of a I wasn't too sure. I think it's just a side-scrolling platformer, maybe? They didn't really show too much besides just the characters and a little bit of the story. Basically what it is it's a World War I puzzle game of sorts, created using the Ubisoft art engine, or whatever it was called. Basically the engine that made Rayman Origins, Legends, Child of Light. Very, very beautiful looking games with amazing art styles, but that play very well. That sort of thing. But the story's about multiple soldiers during World War I and a dog that kind of ties them all together. In the trailer, like I said, really didn't show off too much about gameplay or anything like that. They hinted that it would be a puzzle game of some kind, so I'm assuming it's a puzzle platformer of some sort or some description. But the trailer was just like, feels, man, it's like got me in the heartstrings. It's fucking sad. But the game does look very, very good, and apparently it's tied into some kind of history documentary about World War I, the 100th anniversary, which is coming up. So that is something to look out for if you are at all interested in World War I, war stuff, or puzzle platformers that look very, very fine. And at the very last thing they showed off, they had Yves Guillemot, I think that's his name, Yves Guillemot, come out, the CEO of Ubisoft, come out and announce something a little bit special. He announced the new Rainbow Six Siege. I believe it is the first Rainbow Six in, just under a decade? 6 years, 7 years or so? Which is pretty neat. I thought it looked interesting. I've never played a Rainbow Six. I know it's a tactical shooter. You have to plan your route. You have to make sure you got everything good. You have to make sure that your team is equipped with everything they need to have equipped, or you're kind of fucked. As far as I know, I think was Rainbow Six Vegas the last one. I think it might have been. I just know it's been quite a long time, and I don't know if this is how the other Rainbow Six games played out. But what they showed off during the trailer was a 5v5 style game where you had the terrorists or the bad guys and then the good guys, and the good guys were trying to go in and rescue a lady from these captives and try and get her out before getting killed, or all of them getting killed or whatever, or before they kill the hostage, or that sort of thing. And the one really interesting thing that I noticed about the gameplay is complete and total devastation. You can shoot through the walls to get better coverage, or better line of sight towards an enemy, or you can just mow through a whole wall and rush in there and just blow everything up. But another cool thing is they towards the very last few minutes of gameplay, there was a segment where there was two of these bad guys waiting inside a room, boarded up, and they were in there like, oh, we got the lady, or we got the girl, or whoever it was, and you had to go in there without killing the what's the word for it? The hostage, but you had to take out the guys at the same time. So what they did is they went up above, put a detonation pad on the ground, blew up the, I guess, floor, dropped through the ceiling, which would then be dropped through the ground, and took out the guys and grabbed the lady and continued on their merry way. It was very, very cool, and I'm actually looking quite forward to this game because I really don't know what it's going to be like. At first I thought it wasn't real. At first I thought it was like, oh, it's a pre-rendered thing, and they're just acting it up. But more that I look at it and look at other games, I'm like, this could be a real game. This could be real gameplay. But it's still probably very early on in its development cycle, and it probably still has quite a ways to go until it's actually released. But yeah, I've never played the series, but I am very interested and intrigued by it now, and I look forward to seeing this game at either future E3s or more details about it soon. Well, that was pretty much Ubisoft's press conference. Like I said, not really too much. A lot of repeats from other press conferences, Microsoft and Sony, which I will get to now, which I have a lot to talk about, so it's going to be another long episode, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. I've been Hello Japan. This has been my thoughts and coverage of the Ubisoft press conference. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think. I thought I had an idea or a thought. Oh, no Rayman, which makes me sad. I always like to have a Rayman at my Ubisoft press conferences, but they did not show Beyond Good and Evil 2. Still have faith. I still have faith. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. I've been Hello Japan. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!